Well, we found it. I think this is it. I think this is the winner for the vilest, most inhumane, reprehensible tweet of 2026. It might be one of the most awful tweets of all time. It's right up there with Ann Coulter's tweet from last year, where she said that the U.S. government didn't kill enough Native Americans. Toss up between the two of these. Earlier today, Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir posted this on Twitter. Buckle up, it's awful. For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. With all due respect to the Americans, Israel must make it clear to the entire world that the blood of our sons and the security of our citizens are not forfeit. Israel and the United States are the ones launching wars of aggression. Israel is the one attacking Lebanon. All of Lebanon must burn. Our supreme duty is to protect the citizens of Israel and the soldiers of the IDF. And this commitment takes precedence over every other consideration. I told the Prime Minister, even in our private meetings, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. Enough with the ping pong. In the Middle East, you don't win with measured responses and restraint. You need to go berserk, to obliterate, to crush the terror. Remember when Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social that he was going to destroy the Iranian civilization? Do you remember when he said he was going to bomb them back to the Stone Ages? And we all recognized that as a threat to commit war crimes, as a threat to commit genocide. Ben-Gvir posted that all of Lebanon should burn. Where are the cries from the entire international community that this man is advocating for war crimes? This man is advocating for genocide, for atrocities. I mean, he's been advocating for the genocide against Palestinians this whole time. In May of this year, by the way, France banned him from entering their country because of his violent, extremist, far-right rhetoric. When Israel passed a death penalty law for Palestinian detainees, he rejoiced. He publicly rejoiced. Earlier this year, Minister Ben-Gvir called for the seizure, abduction, of Lebanese women and children in order to exert pressure on Hezbollah. He said, let's start thinking outside the box about Hezbollah conquering territory and killing many terrorists, but also detaining their women and youth and taking them to terrorist prisons. That's what hurts them the most. I mean, we already know that Israeli IOF forces have been abducting women and killing women and children in Palestine, but we know that since at least 2024, they've been doing it in Lebanon as well. Strangely enough, I just learned about this, not strangely enough, coincidentally, no, coordinatedly, for lack of a better term, there is a law in Israel that says that Lebanese citizens are not under Israeli jurisdiction, and therefore they can be held for indefinite renewable periods with no formal indictments against them. That's exactly what Stephen Miller and Donald Trump are doing in the United States to immigrants, holding them without charges indefinitely, denying them basic constitutional rights. Where do you think they learned all this playbook from, huh? Who do you think they're following? It definitely isn't this 2002 policy from Israel. What Ben-Gvir is advocating for is abducting women and children and imprisoning them, keeping them in detainment centers for indefinite periods, for as long as he wants to. People who've committed no crimes have been charged with no crimes. He's advocating for abducting them. This is one of the reasons that France was like, you can't come here. By the way, this comes just after we've gotten news that multiple corporations are giving bulldozers, selling, profiting from the sale of bulldozers to Israel that are being used to bulldoze water tanks and solar panels. By the way, that's a war crime. William Christo of The Guardian, and he had a piece out a couple of days ago on this issue. He goes much more in depth, and I really encourage you to go read the whole piece. When I read his article, I was like, oh, Volvo. When else did Volvo benefit from a regime committing atrocities? In Germany in World War II, I couldn't help but think of Cimes. I couldn't help but think of, Daimler-Benz and all of the for-profit corporations who had dollar signs in their eyes under Nazi Germany, and how so much of that is happening right now with corporations who are willing to rake in profits. And those profits, by the way, are coming from the United States taxpayer. That is money from the United States taxpayer that is funding the bulk of this. in order to commit atrocities against people in Lebanon, in Iran, and in Palestine. Now, Bernie Sanders has put forward at least 3, it might be 4 by now, different pieces of legislation that would bar American taxpayer money from being used to purchase bulldozers and other equipment like that Israel is using to commit atrocities. And it's interesting to see how public pressure has turned against using our taxpayer dollars to commit atrocities, and how much awareness and consciousness is growing about what is actually happening over in Israel versus all of the propaganda that we've been fed, right? It's interesting to see the tide turn, to see public pressure build, and to see Democratic elected officials be like, actually, we can't expend the political capital saying, yes, we think that bulldozers should be purchased with your money to go knock down schools and solar panels and water tanks. And so we've seen Democrats now shift away from wanting to spend our money that way. Republicans have shot down all of Bernie Sanders' proposals. And so our taxpayer money is still going to do things like that. And corporations are still benefiting. They're still raking it in. War is expensive for everybody, you guys. It's the cost of human life. It's the cost of the ecological devastation, right? Israel is committing ecocide as well as genocide across the Middle East. But it's profitable for a certain segment of people. War is extremely profitable. This is why we do it. This is why it's happening. Please understand what kind of extremist, far-right, violent, genocidal rhetoric is pushing this narrative and is getting access to our taxpayer money. Men who said that all of Lebanon should be burned to the ground. Men who are saying that women and children should be kidnapped and held in detention centers indefinitely to try to punish men. It's reprehensible. There's no excuse for it. It's awful and inhumane. And I'm so glad that people are realizing what's going on, but we have to understand that our taxpayer dollars are funding all of this. And so if we want this to stop, then we need to control who controls the utilization, this expenditure of our tax dollars, and that's Congress. They have the purse strings. So we need members of Congress who will not fund any of this nightmare, who will not fund any of these war crimes, who will not take our hard-earned dollars to do inhumane, horrific things abroad.